Okay, today I'm going to talk about different types of elasticity. As we have learned in the past few weeks, we know that there are four kinds. Um, Price elasticity of demand, price elasticity of supply, cross elasticity of demand, and income elasticity of demand. Okay, before we start, we have to know what is elastic and inelastic. Elastic is where people don't need a product immediately. It isn't something that they buy every day, like phones, like houses. In other words, it's not the necessary things that we need for our living. And as for inelastic, a product that people need immediately, things that they need to survive, things that they are super important to them, like rice, like water. Well, it is the basic for our living as a human being. Okay, let's look at the graphs first. And you can see at the top of the left is an inelastic demand for the price elasticity of demand. And as you can see, when the price decreases, the quantity only changes a little. It means that people need them, so they will buy it no matter how the prices changes. But in contrast, if you look at the lower one, the elastic demand, you can see when the price decreases a little, the quantities grows a lot. It means that people will be very desired to buy if the price just only decrease only a little. On the right, you can see they are both the ideal situations. The upper one is an inelastic demand. It means no matter how the price changes, the demand won't change. And the lower shows us no matter what's the demand, the price won't change. However, it also means the price falls down a little if the oh wait sorry if the price falls down a little, it means that the demand will fall to zero, and because that's just the ideal situation that people assume. And for the price elasticity of supply is a very similar concept. For the ideal situations, the perfectly inelastic supply and perfectly elastic supply, they are the same concept as the demand, because when the perfectly inelastic supply means that no matter how's the price, the supply won't changes. And perfectly elastic supply means no matter how demand changes, the price will never change. And elastic supply and elastic supply, they are also similar as what I have talked about, the price elasticity of demand. Okay, and the coefficient of elasticity, COE, it is just a very simple formula. Variable B percentage divided by variable A percentage. Okay, price elasticity of demand, PED. It is a measure of a relationship between a change in quantity demanded of a particular good and a change in its price. That means it's the relationship between the demand and the price, the change in demand and the change in price. And the formula for that is PED equals the change in quantity demanded of the product divided by the change in price of the product. And usually when you have finished calculating PED, you need to explain why the quantity demanded is either elastic or inelastic. And let's look at it. Well, as I just said before, we have to explain. And the number, if the number we calculate is less than 1, which means the PED is inelastic, which means the product is the things that we need every day. And if it's greater than 1, which is elastic, it means they are not the necessary things that we need for life. And if it's 0, which is perfectly inelastic, or infinite, which is perfectly inelastic, which is a graph I have talked before. Okay, for cross elasticity of demand, it is measures the responsiveness of the quantity demanded of one GS as a result of the change to the price of another GS. Well, it means it is also between the relationship between quantity and the price. But it is in two different companies. They are comparing their quantities and the price, or I would say that it's the how is the one company's price will influence other companies' quantity demanded, and the formula for it is the change in percent in quantity demand of good X divided by quantity change in the change in price of good Y. Um, it's the same process. When you have finished the calculating XCD, which is cross elasticity of demand, you need to explain the effects that quantity demand of good X has had on the percentage change in price of good Y. Well, I'll explain that later after I have talked through about the four concepts or the four types of elasticity. Okay, income elasticity of demand, which is the measure of the responsiveness of the quantity demanded of a GS as a result of a change in the income of the consumers demanding good. Which means it's not only between the relationship between price and demand, and it is a relationship between the people's income and the quantity demanded. And the formula for it is the percentage change in quantity demanded and the percentage change in the income. And once you have finished calculating YED, which is income elasticity of demand, you need to talk about whether or not the quantity demanded is an inferior or normal good. And an inferior good is where income elasticity is negative, which is the number we're calculating. And a normal good is where income elasticity is positive. Okay, this is the last type of elasticity, which is price elasticity of supply (PES). It is the measures the responsiveness of the quantity supplied of GS as a result of a change in price of product. The formula for it is the percentage change in quantity supplied and the percentage change in the price, which means they are the relationship between the quantity supplied and the price of the product. And after you have calculated the price elasticity of supply, you need to explain whether or not the number is elasticity of elastic or in elastic. Sorry. Okay, let's look at some relationship between types and goods, different types of goods and services. For inferior goods, it's very common, like city bus service. A normal good, public transportation like cars, taxi, motorbike maybe. And for luxury goods, I would say like brokerage houses or Ferrari, Lamborghini, or LV bags, and so on. And for substitute goods, margarine and butter, or powdered and liquid laundry. There are the things that are very similar. Or another example is burger and sandwich. And for complement good, it's like toothbrush and toothpaste, which is two products they need to use together to have a real functioning, to have a real function. Sorry. And what are the ways that elasticities impact the decisions of different stakeholders? For PD, they have to consider the time period and the income they will spend, the degree of necessity, and number and closeness of substitutes. And as for XCD, um, they have to consider the substitutes, which I have talked before is the two goods are substitutes, and I'll explain now. It's like when XCD's calculating number is positive, that means the products we are calculating they are substitutes. However, if the number is negative, it means the two goods are complements, and complements is like toothpaste and toothbrush, which I have explained before. And as for YED, is the normal good. If the normal if it's normal good, it means the income elasticity is positive, and inferior good it means income elasticity is negative. Just as talked about before. And for PES, the last one, we have to consider the time periods and the stocks supplied. So yep. I think that's pretty much for our team's presentation. I won't say that we prepared very well, but I would say that we tried very hard to do it. So anyway, thank you.